Then. Okay. Hello, everyone. So let me start by apologizing because this was meant to be a live, but unfortunately, we're both millennials here. We don't know what we're doing on Instagram. So it didn't work. I'm so sorry. But if you have any other questions, any additional questions, you can send us and we can record some further videos to explain things or whatever.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. After 20 minutes trying to find a solution, this is our best shot. So I'm sorry. I have to apologize for that technological issues. So with me here tonight is Kelly Pennington. I have to thank her for spending 45 minutes with me trying to figure out how a way around this situation.
I love this though. This is like life. This is life. It's not even, I'm not even stressed about it.
Yeah. Okay. So Kelly is with me here tonight to talk about Delta, but let me just do something. Let me just give her a proper introduction because I had done that before. With her here, it's not as much fun, but okay, let's do it anyway. So, for those of you who don't know this amazing person, this very patient person right in front of me, Kelly Pennington has trained in the armed forces. She holds a degree in business management and has a previous career experience in corporate America. Which allowed her to move into the business English sector of ELT. She has always been looking for professional development and improvement, and that's why she completed her CELTA. And after that, Delta modules 1, 2, and 3. She's a warrior, people. I'm telling you, yes, exactly. So nowadays, Kelly is specialized in business English and ESP. Welcome, Kelly. Thank you very much.
I feel like my next training is going to be on how to do Instagram lives appropriately.
You definitely should.
We could just, that's the next one. I'm going to find a workshop or something.
No, after that, I'm looking for Instagram for dummies.
Yeah, like Instagram 101.
Yes, exactly. I mean,
for dumb millennials.
Yeah, it can't be that hard. I mean, 10-year-old people can do that. Why can't we?
I know.
Anywho, here we are. Okay, great. So I'm going to ask Kelly to start by explaining to us what the Delta is.
Okay, so Delta is a program that is offered by the University of Cambridge. It's a diploma level certificate. So it's pretty much the credits that you receive after completing a Delta or receiving this diploma can go towards a master's degree. So it's a second level higher education program. It's for teachers. It's divided into 3 modules. The first module is a test. The second module is practical teaching experience. You have to write some papers, develop lesson plans, teach. You're assessed live while you do that. And the third module is a extended paper, extended assignment. It's 4,500 words, I believe.
Yeah.
4,500. And you choose a specialism. So they have things like one-to-one, teaching online, young learners, teacher development, business English, things like that. So you choose your specialism and you pretty much write a thesis paper. And the thesis paper encapsulates everything that you would need to develop a program or develop a curriculum for whatever special group you choose to teach.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I thought it was pretty exciting, actually, module 3. It was hard as hell, but pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's I actually enjoyed it, but the problem was I was doing the other 2 at the same time. So I was trying to do everything at once.
Macaulay Culkin. Oh, what?
Yeah.
I mean, as if it's not hard enough to take one module at a time. She did it all simultaneously.
I did. I was a crazy person. Yeah. I did all 3 in 8 months.
Children, don't do that at home.
I don't recommend, actually. Well, and I was it's not Delta. Delta was actually, the materials were quite interesting and I learned a lot from it. The problem was I was working like 35 hours and doing the 3 modules at the same time. So I had classes and then I had to stop and I was writing papers in between. It was messy. It was a messy year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you psychologically fit now? I mean,
No.
What's that?
I need to be diagnosed and medicated probably. Yeah.
No, I mean, after that, because it really screws up, like it screws you up. I mean,
I was gone beforehand, so you can imagine now.
Right. So
It's not working right.
So I should put a disclaimer here because I'm going to edit the video. I do not attempt to do this at home.
Like,
yeah, exactly. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Right in the bottom there.
Yeah, bad choice. Okay. So, right. But we're going to talk about more about each module in a moment. I'm going to answer Marilo Koyama's question. She sent me yesterday, she asked, what's the difference between the Celta and the Delta? So I'm just going to complement what Kelly has said. This Celta is more of a pre-service kind of course. Although what I see here in Brazil,
it's very different.
Yeah, which might not be true to other countries, is that most people taking Celta here have already been teachers for a while. You don't just invest in Celta here. It's not like in Dublin, there was only one teacher in my group. So everybody else, it was just starting. They had never taught before and they decided, okay, I'm going to take Celta. And I had saved for 2 years to do it.
Yeah, I think it's because of the exchange. We have to pay the Cambridge fees and things like that. And unfortunately, the Brazilian currency doesn't have enough power to be able to pay for those types of things.
Yes, certainly. But nevertheless, this is what Cambridge states, that it's a pre-service kind of course. But I would say that still, even though you have been teaching for a while, Celta might be interesting to renew your things, your practices, to make you revise some sort of assumptions that you create in your career. Yeah, because go ahead.
I was going to say, I think because the idea behind them is that we have to remember that these are really good training courses. Obviously, it's very standardized, and so they're teaching you both in Celta and in Delta. They're trying to teach you the way to apply some methodology, some techniques and stuff in the most appropriate way, the most kind of standardized way possible. They're trying to just everybody that takes these courses is going to be able to teach at an appropriate level. And so if you're taking these courses with the intention of, I'm going to become an amazing teacher and I'm going to become creative and be able to kind of really invent, that's not really what it is. They're trying to show you the techniques and the methodology and the steps and stages and, development. All of that stuff is kind of, you're going to do it this way. There are other ways, but you're going to do it this way so that, here's like the most, I don't want to say widely accepted, but like the most widely recognized way of giving a reading class, for example. Follow these steps. Can you apply these steps appropriately? Can you react appropriately according to what we think is appropriate? So it's not something that is going to like make you flourish and bloom. It's going to give you some really good, like practical knowledge. And then afterwards, you can take that and kind of create and test things and go beyond, but you're learning how to do it their way. So, like lesson planning and stuff like that. So, which is not bad. It's a good way to like consolidate your knowledge and information, but it's a little different than what people think, I imagine.
I thought your consideration was spot on, because this is something most people seem to ignore. This is Cambridge standard. So that doesn't mean there aren't other ways of doing things, Right. But nevertheless, I thought that Celta was a game changer in my career, because it made me reassess many things I had been doing before. And why am I doing these things? Okay, I can drop those because those don't work. So I think it's worth taking it anyways.
No,
And
for sure. I'm
so-
not trying to disparage it at all. I'm just saying that it's, you know, they do teach you to that standard. And so like,
Yeah.
okay, here's the Cambridge standard.
Yeah.
And then once you get comfortable and you know that you can do these types of lessons, then you can kind of move on and expand a little bit, test things out, see what your teaching philosophy is. But that's, you know, after.
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
I mean, you're
Definitely.
taking a standardized course, so like it should be obvious, but people kind of, you know, misinterpret.
Yeah,
that.
no, definitely. Yes, this is why I
Yeah.
thought it was a really good consideration. And just to add some more information to it, Delta, you're supposed to take Delta 2 years after taking Celta, at least 2 years. So this is another thing. Yeah, at least 2 years. But I would say
recommend
that-
more.
yeah, just 2 years, it's really not enough. In fact, one of the requirements for Delta is at least 2 years of teaching practice. But why would you take Delta only after 2 years of teaching? I mean,
Yeah,
that's-
I think it's, you know, you kind of, here's the thing, like Celta is the initial, it doesn't really, the initial certification doesn't really work like that here in Brazil. Unfortunately, it's a little bit different, you know, like experienced teachers take it so that they can, you know, refine their techniques or whatever. So, but once you take that course, I think you leave with a lot of like, you know, that
Yeah.
feeling of like, and I think for you to test your belief system as a teacher, like, okay, so I'm going to learn the Cambridge way, and then I feel like you should test it and you should challenge it, and not that it's, you know, wrong, but maybe it doesn't work for you, maybe it doesn't work for your students, maybe you work in a different teaching context, maybe you know, you work with people who have disabilities or something like that, and you have to take other considerations. So I think you know, 2 years is quite a short time, thinking of all the things language teachers have to deal with to test and apply and reflect, and then kind of do some action research on how you can manipulate that. It's just, yeah, I don't think 2 years is long. For me, it wasn't long enough. I waited 5.
Yeah, me too.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
I did it 5 years, but I felt like 5 years was good because I was like more confident in myself as a teacher. So
yeah,
okay.
definitely. No, my case was 7. Yeah, but yeah, no, but it was okay. I mean, I think you're completely right, because for instance, English as a lingua franca isn't approached in Celta. I barely heard about it during Delta, and in fact, I had a very heated email exchange with my tutor because he was debating it, and I had a lot of things to say about it. If you follow my Instagram, you know why. So yeah, I mean, Kelly is absolutely right. There are things you should question because that's not the only method. That's not the only way. And after you take Celta, it takes a while to get used to it, because it's not because you're doing it that you will be able to immediately apply it.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you come back and you try.
Yeah, there's a learning curve, you know, and then like you said, Celta, they didn't approach English as a lingua franca. Celta is for adults. So if you teach teenagers or kids along with adults, they don't even approach the idea of young learners, which is an extremely specialized, I mean, don't get me started. Just because you go to Australia for 6 months doesn't mean you can teach kids. It's a thing for me. It's a trigger. So they don't talk about extremely specialized things like teaching younger learners. They don't talk about, because it's for teaching adults. CELT is for teaching adults. They have CELT P, they have CELT S, so primary and secondary, which focus on those. So if you are a teacher of children or teenagers, you probably shouldn't even do CELTA, because you're not teaching necessarily adults. You should go to the CELT P or CELT S.
Definitely.
But yeah, like the things like I teach, I'm a business English teacher, nothing about business English. It's general English to adults. So it's really the beginning, the starter. So when people say they have CELTA, yes, you have to give them credit, but if they say that they have a CELTA and they're a specialized teacher because of the CELTA, you have to kind of question that, because that's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
It's very, very general. So
Yeah.
as long as you're aware of that going into it, it's a fantastic program. I took it, I enjoyed it, I learned a lot. So
Yeah.
no
Mhm.
complaints. No
Yeah,
complaints.
yeah, but it's a boot camp as well. Yeah, no, I mean,
I
it
did
is
that
hard
one
enough.
intensively too. So
Yeah, I did mine in a month. It was
in a
so
month.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
nuts.
exactly, exactly. I mean, people were having nervous breakdowns in my group.
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
horrible. I mean,
Yeah. I cried.
yeah. Okay. I want to talk about
cried
that.
I cried the second day. I cried once, but I cried the second day.
You know,
Yep.
okay, actually, during my CELTA, I have a funny story about that, because I'm going to split this video in two. No, we're going to be talking for a while. So this is a funny story, actually, because on the very first day of CELTA, I got there, and they told us we were supposed to teach the next day, and I was the very first person to teach. So I was teaching a listening lesson. Okay, that was great. But we used to use CDs back then. Okay. Yeah.
This is why we can't use Instagram. We're using
I'm that old, people.
CD.
I'm that old, people. Okay. So
I have VHS in my house, so yeah.
You see, yeah. And then the CD just started jumping. It just started jumping, and we just couldn't do it. And I was quite embarrassed, but I just kept cool. No, right, I'm going to read it for you, but all right, that was it. And I did it, but at the end of the lesson, I ran to the bathroom and I started crying. Oh my God, my first lesson. What was that? I thought I am a teacher. I'm not, all that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, I cried a lot during CELTA, and I cried a lot during Delta too.
I didn't cry so much during Delta. I was more agitated, but I cried the second day of CELTA, and then I never cried again because I'm very competitive. So yeah, but actually it's a good thing, because I mean, we can talk a little bit about CELTA because it leads into Delta, but it was my first teaching practice. I was in the first group to teach. Everybody's watching me. I had never really been formally assessed like that. So it was kind of, you get anxiety, a little bit of stress. The group we had was like 20 people. There was a huge amount of people, and I had to teach grammar, and it was a mixed level class. They said that it was intermediate, upper intermediate, but it was a mixed level class, so it was a little challenging because some people were faster, some were slow. Yeah. I didn't even know about differentiation at the point. So that was a challenge. And the feedback that the teacher, the assessor had given me, my tutor, he said, you need to find your teaching voice. And now I have to say that this person, I am friendly with him now, and we are friends on, Instagram, Facebook, and all of that stuff. And I sent him messages, and we are fine. And by the end of the course, our relationship was fine, but I was very offended by that.
Imagine.
And he didn't mean to offend me, but it was one of the first examples that I had of understanding that tutors need to be very careful of their delivery of their messages, because I shut down completely and I didn't hear anything else that he said, because the way that he had phrased it was, you need to find your teaching voice. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
So it was super unclear. And after, that everybody had left, I just started crying. I was like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do at this point. Like, I don't know what that means. So it was very unclear, a lot of doubt. All I can say is he wasn't judging me as a person, but it felt like it a little bit, but I wasn't really sure. Like, it was so unclear. I didn't know what to do. So yeah, that's when I decided I'm going to do, like, literally at that point, I was like, well, I'm going to do your job. Because, and this is really what happened, that I decided I'm going to do your job, and I'm going to make sure that I never make anybody feel like that. and never make anybody question, what am I supposed to do now? Like, where do I go from here? Because that was a horrible feeling.
It
was really, really bad.
Certainly.
So
thank you so much for sharing that with me, because I'm going to take that into consideration now, because I'm here for it. I'm on it, for the same reason, to become a Celta tutor. So, I mean, this was really valuable. Thank you for sharing that with me.
No problem.
Hey, great. So Kelly has already answered my question. Why did you decide to do it?
That was why I wanted to take this job. First, it was a little bit of anger. I'm gonna admit that it was a little, I was a little angry about it, but then there is like a true, I really do want to do this job to make people better. So
that's really caring, I understand that. Yeah. I think the best compliment I got from my Delta tutor was, you are a teacher trainer quality material. And I felt like, wow. That's it. Thank you. This is where I'm going.
Thank you.
So check. Exactly. Right. But Kelly, now focusing more on Delta, this is what we're here for, but what we're here for, was it what you had expected?
Yes and no. Yes, because module 2 was pretty much Celta on steroids. So it was it's the best way to describe it. So if you do Celta, or if you do like the TESOL cert TESOL or something like that, initial teacher training, it's like that on steroids, module 2. Module 1, there were some really specific things about the test that I didn't anticipate, but it wasn't so far like, oh, this is completely different. And module 3 was completely, I did not expect it at all, because in my mind, I had the idea that this is the course that I want to give. And so I had created almost a course in my head. Like, I had planned it out, thought it out a little bit. And that's not how it works. So I initially wanted to do a teacher development course. Teacher language development, but that's not possible for me, because I don't have lots of teachers necessarily, and lots of, I have contact with lots of teachers, but for module 3, you have to have a group that you apply a needs analysis and a diagnostic testing on, and you analyze those results. And so the easiest thing for me to do last year at the time was to, like, I have contact with teachers, I have mentees and stuff like that, but nobody that would be like cohesive enough to put together as a group. So it would just be a mess. And so I took my business English people and I did a business English, because that's who I teach. So my clients are business English teachers, and then I have my mentoring stuff on the side. So it's just, it was easier to do business English. But you have to think, what students do you actually have access to for module 3? If you don't have access to students, then it's going to be quite challenging. And the only one that I know of is teaching one-to-one. That's the only one you can have one student. Other than that, you need to have a group.
Yes, exactly. So that's the boring part of it. You're absolutely right.
I was like, oh. Okay, I gotta find students. Hang on.
Nobody had told me. Nobody had told me that. Right. And by the way, people, Kelly's website has got her assignment for module 3, and that was super useful when I was writing mine. So
I think I have all of them on there, actually.
Well, I just saw module 3.
Module 3.
Because it was the one I was taking last semester. But it was super helpful. So thank you very much for sharing that.
No problem.
It was hard to find assignments or people who were willing to share their assignments. I think they're a bit afraid of plagiarism, but it was so useful, because there were some things I had no idea how to write. And looking at yours, it made it so much clearer to me. Okay, this is how I structure things. And like the part 3 in module 3, which is the course itself, I thought that was so confusing, but after looking at yours, it just clicked, So
actually, I had to look at a bunch of them because I couldn't find any examples of business English online. So if you do decide to do business English for module 3, you're going to have trouble finding resources for that. Not resources, you're going to have trouble finding models. There's a lot for academic English,
exam,
testing, things like that. But not a lot for business English. So yeah, feel free to use mine. I got a pass on it, just straight pass. So
that's good enough.
I passed. Yeah, so I didn't get merit. I didn't get distinction. Like I just passed because at that point I was exhausted and I just wanted to pass module 1 and module 3.
Who can blame you, for God's sake? I mean, if I get a pass, I'll be fine.
Yeah, that's what pretty much that's what I just wanted to like go through the process, pass everything. The only one that I got a higher score on it, I got module 2, I got a distinction. So, but I think I got distinction on module 2.
Oh, that's impressive.
And I got my lesson, let me think, my lesson 1, I got distinction on my lesson plan, distinction on teaching. Lesson 2, I got distinction on planning, merit on teaching. Lesson 3, I got pass on both of them because I did discourse. So I chose to do the hardest thing, which was probably not the best choice. And then 4, they don't give you your results for 4, but according to the standards to be able to get distinction, I got a merit or higher on both the teaching and the lesson plan. So my lesson plans are good according to
Cambridge.
according to my grades. So yeah, if you need lesson plans, I think they should be on my site. If they're not, then I'll post them. But
yeah, that's great. Yeah, lesson plan it's one of my strengths as well. I mean, I might have poor time management, but lesson planning,
I'm a planner.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm a very systematic person. So right, okay. So that's an interesting thing you're talking about module 3, because it was exactly what I was looking for. I felt like that's it. This is why I signed up for Delta. This is the kind of knowledge I was looking for. And although it was hard, and I'm telling you, I cried and I had a post-it on my laptop stating the reasons why I was doing it, because sometimes I just felt like I'm a horrible teacher. What am I doing? And I think it's important to tell you that, to be recorded, because people are afraid of sharing that and seeing weak, or I don't know, any kind of rubbish like that. But no, people, it's hard.
It is.
I questioned many times, should I be doing this? And I had to send a message into my WhatsApp group of Delta, asking people, please just tell me that it shall pass as well and everything's going to be okay, because I'm really desperate at this point. I don't know what I'm doing. And they all were very supportive. No, things are going to be okay, especially at the beginning of part 3, because part 3 is really hefty, and it feels like, wow, you have a month to design a course. What? But it's not your standard, it's Cambridge standard. So that's the thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. But overall, did you enjoy your crazy Delta experience?
Yeah, actually, no, I made 4 really good friends during the Delta experience, and we support each other even now. So there was 4 people out of I think the group was very big, and then it dwindled down because we were doing the intensive, so people started leaving, but there was 4 people that I stay in contact with. So that was good, and we stay in touch now, so we continue to kind of push each other. And then there was one teacher, sorry, I have something in my eye. There was one tutor who was exceptional on my course, and he was really kind of inspirational in terms of his demeanor, how he interacted with us as candidates, the way that he presented materials, and the way that he was very open to other he was very open to other perspectives and how he thought about things. And I immediately liked him. I immediately was like, oh, this is kind of the person that I want to be as a tutor. Do you know what I mean? Like you look at that person, you're like, yeah, this is more my style. And so it wasn't that, because we had another tutor and she was amazing too. She was super, super nice and very, very kind. But the difference between the two of them was that the first tutor who he really was inspired by, he stood his ground. If he believed in something, he would dig his heels in, and he would, you know, get there would be conflict, and you would have to, you know, justify your reasoning and stuff. And so I think that forced us to be better, because we had to like justify why we were doing the things that we were doing, as opposed to just being like, oh, that wasn't, you know, creative thinking. And it wasn't like, I like to be supportive, but I really liked his way. So so yeah, it was overall pretty, like that one tutor for me was like, it was worth it to work with him.
But I think this is what we're looking for. If we wanted somebody to just say, oh, things are great, looking great, just carry on, then why bother? You know, I think we are there to learn different ways of doing things and to challenge our practices. This is what I was looking for. This is what I had signed up for. So, I mean, if you're not doing that, what's the point? But Kelly, more specifically about the things you learned with Delta, what would you say?
Well, I've reinforced the idea that I will forever be an amateur teacher. Like, I feel like that's just amateur all the way. No, I've learned a lot from reading and doing all the things that I did. I chose to really push myself in certain assignments, and for example, doing discourse. I don't recommend it for every candidate. I was doing well at that point with my lesson plans, and I had good grades. So I could fail lesson 3 and I could still pass the course. So this is why I chose to do something that was very, very uncomfortable for me. So that was a nice part of it. But yeah, I read a lot and I learned a lot. There's so much stuff that I don't know, and I can't even imagine what I don't know.
Perfectly.
Yeah, because every time I would open something, I'd be like, oh God. And then it was just like another rabbit hole of things that I was like, I had no idea about. So, so I learned a lot. And then the other thing that I really walked away from that experience, and I think this is the stronger, was that I learned what kind of teacher and what kind of trainer I want to be. So I learned what I don't want to be and what I want to be, and how much, and I had mentioned it before about the CELTA, but how much a tutor can impact the candidates going through the process. And it literally can change their direction, like professional and career goals. So I think it's a huge responsibility. I think some people take it very seriously, and unfortunately others don't. And so I'm the type of person that wants to take it seriously and really help people. So
yeah, that's true. I think what you said now, it's very important, because I've got a friend, a very good friend. He was taking Delta, and then he just gave up in the middle of the process. I mean, so
yeah, we had several. I think our group started with 12 or 13. Then by the end there were 7 of us. There was 5 of us who took module 1 test, and I'm the only one that passed. There were 7 of us that completed module 2. I got a distinction. There was another, my friend, he got a merit. He did very well as well. And then there was two people who got pass. And then there was 3 that did not pass, that went into remediation. And then for module 3, there were 3 of us that were able to turn in the project, or to turn in the paper. So that means 4 people opted not to turn in a paper by the end of the course. And I was the only one that passed. And so So I was literally the only one out of 12 people that passed all three, which is an accomplishment for me, but it's also a reflection on, I don't know if they knew exactly what they were getting into. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't really judge other people's scenarios, but I also think that tutors impact that
Definitely.
a lot.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. I think although Cambridge states that, for instance, for module 1, the pass rate is 70%, I don't think that's true at all, because I mean, with the results you're telling me, and when I took the test, it was 50%. So 4 people took it, 2 passed. So yeah, that was it. But module 1, don't get me started about module 1. That's ridiculous. I mean, seriously, that module, it's simply nonsense to me.
It's okay. It's a standardized test. Again, I think I go back to the idea that Cambridge is trying to standardize the amount of knowledge and practical skill that teachers have at a specific level. This isn't the end all be all. If you don't pass module 1, 2, or 3 on the first try, go if you really want it because you want to become like a teacher. And of course, this is not the only way to become a teacher trainer, but if you want to have that because you think it will benefit you going forward in your career, do it again. And just know that this is not the only validation of whether or not you're a good teacher or not. This is a validation of whether or not you can take a test to Cambridge standards. You can teach a class to Cambridge standards. You can write a paper and design a course to Cambridge standards. That's what that's an evaluation of. So it's valid, it's good, but it's not the only. So don't get discouraged, you know, because some people do. They're like, oh, it's a lot of money though. It's a lot of time and investment. So
yes, absolutely. And of course, you get frustrated by not passing it, but it's not everything, as Kelly said. I think that's really important to stress. I mean, that doesn't mean you're not a good teacher. That only means you're not into their standard, which is just one standard, you know?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So talking about the things that could have been better. Because I mean, module 1 was a bit bizarre in my opinion, because a test that could encompass virtually everything about teaching, from grammar to teaching methods, it's just too much to take in. You should take a course for a year or more to prepare for it. 6 months, it's simply not enough to do so. And there are always things that you will ignore, you know, and lots of those you won't even use in class. I've talked to people about it, like, what is a present participle? And I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, module 1, I wasn't really offended by module 1. I think you might have been a little offended by it, but no, I didn't really. Here's the thing about module 1. I think it's just kind of a test that is looking for, do you have basic knowledge about the vast majority of topics that can impact teaching. And so, you know, it's you sit there and you take the test, and sometimes you're lucky because it's something that you've studied.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you see something and you're like, oh my God,
I've never seen this before. Yeah.
Never seen this before. And that's just the luck of the draw. I mean, last year, at the end of the year in December is when I took mine, and I feel as if I lucked out because there was a lot of like serendipitous moments that the universe was conspiring to get me to pass. And one of those things was like one of our sessions on discourse analysis, we were looking at recipes. It was just a random example, and recipes was on the test for discourse analysis. I mean, what are the odds of that happening?
Yeah,
it's so unlikely. And the last part of the second paper, where you have to write down like 30 examples of positive pros and cons and everything else, it was role playing. So which is a common thing that we talk about. You know, we were thinking maybe it's going to be technology, maybe it's going to be something, you know, CLIL, maybe it's going to be something, and it was role playing, which is something that most people were very familiar with. I was lucky.
Yeah,
I really believe that it's like sometimes it's like here in Brazil, vestibular, a name.
Yeah.
Sometimes you study something and it's there and you're like, oh, thank God.
Thank God.
And sometimes you're like, oh my God, I did so bad because I didn't study that. You just never know what's going to be on the test.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but this is precisely my point. I feel like it's a waste of resources. You know, it could be so different. I mean, it could be a course instead of just teaching, just discussing those practices. You know, like parsnip. Yes, like the topics you don't talk about. Why don't you talk about those? I mean, we could just have a course discussing those things, you know, a more academic oriented sort of course. Yeah. And I think it would have been a much better use of our time and resources than just having a test. This is what
I think it just goes to standardization, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, if you don't pass module 1, you know, okay, but you pass module 2, and module 3, then I would still consider that a win. I'd be like, yeah, because that's the more practical side of it, the planning side, the, you know, the curriculum design side. So I feel like that's, for me, it weighs more than module 1.
Yeah, definitely. But what was your favorite part of the whole process?
Finishing.
Definitely.
Receiving my certificates. No, it probably was, honestly, finishing, because it was so challenging to do the 3 modules in 8 months. I was actually really proud of myself by the end of it. I was like, I'm
proud of you.
I was able to get it done. I'm really, and I had some personal challenges during the year, and so that affected my ability to like put all my attention into it, and you know, I was just proud of myself to finish. That was all. And you know, like, to actually get it done was like an accomplishment for me.
Sure.
So
Sure.
That was kind of my favorite part.
Okay. I think I should cut that, but all right.
No, okay. Well, I mean, the other parts of that, no, like I really did, like, finishing was very important for me. But besides that, I was able to collaborate. I was the 4 people that I had mentioned, my 4 friends, what we actually did before some of our lessons, actually quite a few of my lessons, either the 2 of us would get together or 3 of us would get together. Like, there was always a mix of us, and we would teach each other. Like, we would give our lessons, and then we would give each other feedback, and then we would like redesign things with each other and stuff like that. So I think that was actually quite helpful, just kind of as working as a private teacher. So having that, like the sounding board, like, what do you think of this activity? And they're like, oh, but how are they going to do? I was like, oh yeah, that's true. So that was actually really nice.
It feels lonely to work.
It does.
I completely get it. By the way, I didn't ask you, did you do it online or was it in person?
100% online.
What?
100% online. Even the teaching.
Oh, right. Okay. But nevertheless, you still got together with other people and everything.
Yep. So I have 2 friends, one's in Bahia, one's in Rio, and the other 2 are in the south. One's in Santa Catarina and the other's in, I don't remember the state that he lives in. So I mean, I would have never been able to collaborate with those people, and we still keep in touch. We send messages to each other. I did another course with one of them. So like we keep in touch. Like,
that's great.
So,
that's really nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
Okay, very, very good. Right. So we could be talking here for hours, but I'm just going to ask you 2 more questions that were actually sent to us. One is from Set Teacher. I think she's asking specifically about modules. No, actually all the modules could fit here, but how do you keep track of all your reading? That's tough.
Yeah. Well, okay. So for module 1, I don't know how you did it. This is how I did it. For module 1, I have flashcards and stuff like that because I was trying to, remember all the little things. I made, which is available, by the way, on my website. So feel free to go there. I made I took a bunch of resources that I would get from the internet from other people, and I made a study guide. So it's like, I think it's like 78 pages, literally. It's like, it's enormous. It has the test from the Cambridge book. It has the model answers. It has brainstorming for all the questions. It has the discourse analysis for like major areas and stuff like that. So that's on the site. So I made that, which was very helpful for me actually to like make that, because then I was studying at the same time. So that's what I did for module 1. I didn't really do like lots of books. I was just trying to focus on what was going to be on the test. Module 2 for the reading, I guess this is a tip. Your focus, and you can look at my lesson plans and the background essays that I had to write on them. The background essays are actually quite focused. It's like a very focused thing. So like you're going to do, hang on, I can pull one up. So, I remember writing was my last lesson. I panicked a little bit, but it's and I did improving learners' communicative competence in written computer mediated communication. It sounds super fancy. Pretty much what I researched was the discourse of online writing compared to what we actually teach them in class and how it was different. And so it was very, very specific. I was looking at text online and how the discourse changes and what does that mean and how to teach that, etc. And so you're never reading full books.
Yeah, no, not at all. You don't have time.
Never. You don't have time for that. You're reading chapters, you're reading articles, you're researching on sites that are like credible sites that you can cite and source. And what I did was I made a Google Doc actually. And as I was reading through things, I made the bibliography first. So before I started reading something, I made a bibliography. And then underneath it, I would put page numbers and quotations. And I just had this huge Google Doc. So as I was researching for one of my lessons, I had the Google Doc with the bibliography, the page, the number, and the quotation. And it made it so much easier because it was there. So as I was writing my paper, I could just copy and paste it as I was kind of going through my topics and stuff. So that's how I did module 2. And I did the same thing for module 3. Because module 3, you have to read, like you said, you're going to have to do like, you're not going to read only about your specialism. You have to read, I think it was in your post, right? You have to read about needs analysis, curriculum design, diagnostic testing. You have to read about all of those things. And so I did a Google Doc, made my bibliography, and then kind of like annotated there all the quotations that I was like, oh, I need to use this because this is the justification of what I'm doing here. And I had it all there. So it was there. So as I was writing it, I was like, where's the quote about assessment? Oh yeah, okay, here. And then I would just like copy and paste it, put it in. And that's how I wrote my papers. And it made it very fast.
Yeah, I did the exact same thing, but on Evernote.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, use whatever.
Because I think it's much easier to find information on Evernote than in a doc, for instance. So yeah, I had like different docs for assessment, needs analysis, whatever, course design and everything, but I did exactly the same. Here's the quote, here's the page, that's it. So that saves us a bunch of time. Exactly.
Yeah. So like, as you're reading, like, don't just keep reading and keep reading. Like, as you're reading, like, be smart about it. Like, you read something, you're like, oh, there's a justification. That's why we use it. Put it in, take the time to like stop reading, go to your wherever, Evernote, Google Doc, Trello, I don't care where you just like type it in and then go back to the reading, because like as you find your justifications, just pull them out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And you don't use them all the time, like all of them. Sometimes you just pick and choose, you know, like sometimes you throw some away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Right. So I left the questions to the end, but two questions were actually related to what we started discussing. So can I do Delta without doing the Celta? Technically, you can.
You can.
Yeah, you can. And if you had taken another sort of certificate, that's fine. But I think Kelly would agree with me. That's crazy. Don't do that.
Well, it's a little crazy. Here's the thing. If you're a very organized person and you follow instructions very well, and you are able to take instructions and understand that they're teaching you their standard of teaching and you're applying their standard of teaching. And if you can do that very well, and you know, you have to reflect on yourself, then possibly, yeah. I mean, if you've been teaching for years, sometimes they say, well, they don't have CELTA, but they've been teaching for 10 years. So we can kind of, you know, let them into the program. Listen, you can do that. But I think what CELTA does is it gives you an idea, like a little taste of kind of like how specific they want you to write this thing. And, you know, they have like the word limits and the way that they say things. So you start to get used to the vocabulary that they use, like the very specific vernacular of Cambridge. So I think it's like a preparatory course. But one thing that I did do, and I have to like reiterate this, is I took the advanced methodology course from International House in London. It's available online, 100% online. And I have to say it was a fantastic course that doesn't require, as it's not as demanding as Delta. You have assignments and you have to participate in message boards. Almost everything that you see in the advanced methodology course is something that you'll see in the Delta course. So it's a really good preparation. So if you're not sure if you can do Delta or not, I would say do that course, the advanced methodology course from International House. Do it. It's online. Take a year to process it, make some flashcards, start studying for module 1. Do you know what I mean? Like do that. And you'll feel better. You'll feel more confident, not like, oh my God, can I do this or not? You'll be like, I can do this. I did that. It's more or less the same.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. One thing, like if you have been teaching for 10 years, for instance, some classes you don't even prepare anymore. But during CELTA, you're supposed to prepare a lesson plan, and lesson plan takes like 40 minutes, 50, 1 hour, because it's Cambridge standard. Yes. So fitting into that might be a bit tricky. This is why taking CELTA, it's interesting. And in fact, people, I feel that a lot of people think they have to take Delta because it's just a natural path after CELTA. And that's absolutely not true.
No. I think that there's a lot of things to do. I took Delta because I wanted to have this level of certification. Eventually I'll try and do a master's, possibly a PhD. I'm not sure, but like I'm, you know, every 5 years I kind of reassess and take a course and do something, because it's something that I like to do and I feel is beneficial for me. But I don't think that's the only way. Again, to become like a CELT P, CELT S tutor, you don't need to have Delta. So if you want to become a tutor for those courses, you need to have a train the trainer or some kind of certificate along those lines. But the requirements are a little bit different. So you like, if you want to do something like that, you want to become a trainer, then you have to look at what are the requirements for the trainer that you want to become, not just like any trainer. What do I want to do? And then also I think nowadays, what I think is actually quite beneficial is that people look into, if you have an initial teaching course or teaching certification, looking into specializing and getting into a niche. There's several places you can go. International House is one of them, highly recommended. I always had a good experience there. Bridge Temple, they have specialized courses. So there's quite a few places online and in person that you can, for example, specialize in business English, specialize in academic English, specialize in, we have a few colleagues that are specialize in aviation English. I think that type of specialization, it helps. And
it may be more useful. Yeah.
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 So it really depends on what you like to do, you know? So it's not, Delta is not the end all be all. If you want to be a preschool teacher or a bilingual children's teacher, I'm not sure how helpful Delta will be. To be brutally honest, I don't know how helpful it will be.
Yeah, definitely. I think this was a very good comment. And just to complement it, we've got lots of brilliant teachers in Brazil. So, I mean, why not focusing on your niche? What sort of teacher I'd like to become, rather than just I'm going to take Delta because that's just the natural path. No, not necessarily. Right. I mean, it's good to have that crystal clear in your mind. I think
like
that was a good point.
Like there's people that, I mean, some of them have extremely high qualifications and some of them not so much, but they all have their own thing. Like, for example, when I think of English as a lingua franca, I think of you. That's because that's your thing, right? Like that's what I recognize you, like ELF, Hellen. When I think of teaching travel English or teaching TKT classes, I think of Andrea Poppy, like that. I just automatically associate aviation, Natalia. If I think of language development for teachers, I think of Rodrigo Sigoli. I always say his last name wrong, Sigoli. And Sergio Pantoja.
Sergio Pantoja is Ricardo Barros.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So like these types of people, some of them, yes, have extremely high certifications, but you see them as like, this is a person that has like, if I need this, or if I have a student, there's a lot of people that say, oh, I need classes with this. I'm like, oh, I have a really good teacher for you. Because that's not my thing. I teach business English. That's me.
Exactly.
So you don't need Delta. It's a fantastic program. You don't need it though, if you want to go and do something very highly specialized. It might help to do module 3 though. No, because
that's true. That's true.
Right. So if there's anything that you would do, if you want to become a highly specialized teacher, do module 3, because then you can work very specifically on your specialization. And that will give you a lot of credibility.
Yes, absolutely. And the course planning part is fantastic. It's really, really nice. Yes. I mean, that's useful. Right. So our last question, do you have to be a C2 level to take Delta? This is by Adriana Almeida. Because she says, I took Celta 6 years ago and I struggled with the assignments. So according to Cambridge, C1 level is enough. But personally, I would say if you're not used to writing, then it will be tough.
Yeah. What I would say is C2 level is highly recommended. However, if you are not familiar with academic writing, because this is what it is, it's academic writing.
Yes.
And all of the modules are academic writing. Even module 1, when you're writing some things, you have to write in a very specific way. And like you have to use specific vernacular and grammar and stuff. So if you're not comfortable in doing that, then what I would recommend, if you have a C1 level, but you're thinking about taking Delta, you probably can, but know that the majority of what you're going to be doing is academic writing, academic reading, academic writing. So if you're not comfortable with doing that, I would strongly recommend taking a course in academic writing. Another person recognized for niche, Gabriela Frois.
Yes.
Yep.
Exactly.
Take your academic writing course then.
I did actually.
Yeah. Did you? Was it good?
I did. It was fantastic. It really helped me for module 3 because although I love writing, I don't write academic writing. I mean,
exactly.
And I am a C2. Okay, I have 2 certificates saying that, but I don't write. I don't write all the time. So in fact, although we write a lot, emails, messages, and everything, academic writing is a whole different creature, people. So yeah, Gabriela Flores has got this amazing course teaching academic writing. So take it before you consider Delta, because that's
yeah, like especially if you're like C1, like even I mean, the people are like, oh, but you're a native. I'm like, that doesn't mean I do academic writing. Like I never do academic writing. So I had to like sit there. I read a few things, like I kind of like brushed up on my skill, because I hadn't done academic writing since I was in university. So I was like, oh God, I have to cite things again and bibliographies. So I had to like go back and like really kind of get that under control. But yeah, so if you're C1 and you're like, oh, but do I really need to be if you're a really good C1, like almost C2, but you don't have a C2 certificate, I'd say like go for it for sure. There were certainly people in my group that I don't think were C2. That's my opinion. I don't think that they were C2, but it seemed as if they were able to write academically.
That's it.
So that was the trick. That was the differential.
Yeah, definitely. And there's another thing that Kelly has just mentioned, which is quoting, because you've got to read something somebody else has said and then paraphrase it. And if you're not used to doing it, it is challenging, and you're going to waste a lot of time. So getting the grip, I think it's really helpful before you start Delta, because honestly, time is not in your favor.
Yes.
In any of the modules. You're always rushing.
You have to be able to write academically and do it quickly. There is another person that I would recommend getting in touch with if you were thinking about it and you're not super sure. His name is Dennis Warren. He's on Instagram, and he is a Delta tutor.
I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I believe I'm not sure if he's currently doing it, but he is a Delta tutor, and he is a Cambridge exam. He has that little thing
Assessor?
on his, like, not an assessor. Do you know when people are an authorized center? He's an authorized Cambridge exam center. He's fantastic as well. I was in touch with him throughout my Delta too. So Dennis Warren, Gabriela Flores, if you need help with like academic writing, for sure.
Oh, that's great.
And then of course, you know, there's Sergio Pantoja and Ricardo Barros, who are fantastic, and they do preparatory stuff for certification.
Yeah, for Delta. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, Ricardo actually read my assignment, because I was so insecure about submitting it. Is that good enough? And then when he said, no, it's okay, you can send it.
Yeah, right. I didn't panic. He helped. He read mine too.
Ricardo said it's okay. So I don't care about what I don't care about what Cambridge says now. He said it's fine.
There's a lot of things that you can do before Delta that will prep you for Delta. Like you can get private tutors, like the teachers that we mentioned, who are fantastic, and they're super kind and really easy to talk to. So don't be intimidated by them at all. And there's online courses. I know that there's the online Delta, which has preparatory courses for module 1. And that is fantastic material. I have a Brazilian friend who's in Ireland who did it, and the material that she received was amazing. She showed me some of it, and it was fantastic. It was very, very helpful. So there are things that you can do to kind of set yourself up for success before, and especially if you're like an anxious person, or if you know that it's going to be problematic, then try and do that.
Yeah, that's great. Kelly, thank you so much for this wonderful talk. I mean,
it's been great.
No, it was.
I could chat all night.
Yeah, I know. I know we could, but so I've been holding you here for more than I had expected to, but I'm going to edit the video. I think I can. No, let me just end it. Well,
finish.
Okay, thank you very much for being here with me. I'm sorry it didn't work out the way we had planned, but that's c'est la vie. Yeah, that's just
when I find the Instagram live course, I'll enroll, and then I'll send you the link, and we can take it together, Zenas, and figure out. How to
Fantastic.
not be terrible millennials.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so have a very good night and thank you once
Thank
again
you.
for joining me.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay.